Where my girls at? Where my girls at? Independent, free spirit. Ooh, it's something serious. Where my girls at? We link up in a cool minute. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. It's going out tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going out tonight. Yeah, right. It's going out tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going out tonight. Yeah, right.
Cool minute. All right, all right. You know what time it is. You know what time it is. Every time we hear that song, it's going down tonight. I know you get excited because I get excited every time I hear that song. Well, hello, everybody. You are listening to We Got Issues on 910 AM, the Superstation, WFDF. And I am your host for today, Crisette Ellis from the D. And you know what? It is a windy, but it is a wet Wednesday here in the D. You guys, it's always such a joy to come to you Monday through Friday from 6 to 7 p.m. with my Force of Friendship girlfriends, Caterina, Sabrina, and Gloria. You know, every day we strive to bring you a variety of topics that will keep you in the know. We are powerful, purposeful, positive, but we are not Pollyanna. So we want to thank you. Thank you so much for listening to us. And for those of you who are watching us on live on the Force of Friendship or the 910 AM Superstation Facebook pages, we we love reading your comments in the chat. And we absolutely love it when you call us with your comments and opinions at the number 313-778-7600. Well, you guys, today's show is going to be off the chain. It's going to be hot. It is going to be a fantastic conversation. So we want you to call a neighbor, call a friend, and tell them to download the 910 AM Superstation app so that they can hear our show and stay in the know. So today I am excited that we have two guests with us that I'm going to introduce in just a few minutes. And we're going to be talking about adopted children's quest or journey to find their biological parents. This is going to be a very interesting conversation on today. So if you know anyone that's been adopted or have children that they have adopted, tell them to tune in and to call us again at 313-778-7600 and give us their comments or their issues. So, excuse me. We are still watching, you guys. There's so much that's going on in the country. I mean, if you've been watching the news, it goes from one thing to the next, from one extreme to another. I mean, we, of course, are still praying for, and our hearts are going out to those people that are still missing in Florida and Surfside, Florida. They're still looking. I think they up to 11 that they found that are already deceased, and it's still over 150 that they're looking for. So that is just a bad situation all the way around. So again, we definitely want to continue to lift those people in our prayers. And then the hot topic, I know the girlfriends want to jump in on this one. Can you say Bill Cosby? Bill Cosby was released today after having his conviction overturned by the Pennsylvania Supreme Court after only serving 2 years. Now, I know that's a conversation, that's an entire show in and of itself. And just know, we absolutely going to have that conversation and that topic probably maybe on tomorrow. But we want to get to our guest on today because we have a lot to talk to them about. But I'm going to throw it to the West Coast, to my girl, Caterina Harris. Earl, what's up, Kat?
Oh, yes. I got the text. My husband's like, turn on the TV. And, tomorrow I'm hosting. So Crisette tried to tell me what my show going to be about tomorrow. But I just have to say this.
Probably, maybe, hopefully.
This is all I got to say. It's so controversial, but my father when I see Bill Cosby, I see some, not the legal issues at all, praise God, but I see some character traits in his face. So it's very challenging for me. And that just lets me know that juries are absolutely biased, because when I look at him, I see some of his hands, some of his things, and y'all know I'm a super daddy's girl. So yes. I'm definitely not the one to ask, because when you look at somebody and you see your daddy, you got nothing but love, no matter what the situation is, because it's your daddy. Right. So it's hot. It's still hot over here, and we're just seriously praying for rain. Now you got to keep your mask on in LA County. We don't know what it's going to be like up here in Northern California. So it's a lot going on, and we're just grateful to be here. This show, Chris, I mean, seriously, just the backstory that you told us got me pumped and excited. I've heard these stories from afar, but to hear it up close and personal from our guests is going to be serious. And for the Facebook audience, we got a little necklace competition going on, and nobody even mentioned my little necklace, Sabrina's little necklace. At least mine got colors and my earrings match. Okay, so we're gonna go to the queen of necklace on Wednesday.
Will you just say she won? Will you just say she won?
She got the necklace crown today.
Gloria, I love your necklace. Gloria, I love your necklace.
Although you gave us that necklace as a gift, you probably don't know, but we all have that necklace, so we can all have a equal necklace day.
We should just all go get the necklace, okay?
I love it. I love that necklace. One of my favorites.
Okay.
Boring.
You're muted on StreamYard after all that. Here's her crown. Now we gotta take her crown off.
A good time all by myself, as usual. They're all mad because I'm the queen of extra today. Today I'm the queen of extra. But let me just tell you what you have to do to be the queen of extra. I have to start on this outfit day before yesterday. Okay, that's how I gotta start, because I gotta put it under the right light. I gotta see if it's really gonna work. I gotta go back into the archives. I gotta look at my past pictures to see if I wore it on social media. It takes a lot to be extra with this group, okay? Because we're surrounded by a whole bunch of extra. And then Bill Cosby. Now that's extra. That's the extra topic right there. That's the extra topic. If you go to the left, you got one thought. If you go to the right, you got another thought. It's a lot of thinking up in that thing. I was shocked. Didn't even know that it was up. So there's a lot. Then the whole vaccination situation with the new variant coming out and all the new things and the things to know, the news, the social media. I mean, it's just so much information coming at us over and over and over again. So I'm glad that you came to We Got Issues today, where we can change our mind for just a minute, change our mind just for a little bit, and don't laugh at me, Sabrina, when I trip over my words, okay? She's just tripping over my words, okay? So I'm just excited to be with you, and I don't think we need to talk about Sabrina. Let's go back to Crisette, okay? Okay. Let's go to North Carolina, to the little bitty necklace on Sabrina Goodwin Monday.
This beautiful neck. It's classy. It's not gaudy. It's elegant. It's wonderful. That's who
It's small.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Does everybody see it? Yes, yes, yes. These are precious stones from Egypt. Okay. So, yes. Okay. So anyway, Gloria, I'm going to give up my time. It's so much to talk about. We've got guests, but what about last night? You were with one of the housewives. That was so exciting.
Yes,
I mean, this is what these girlfriends want to hear about. Tell us about that time.
Oh my gosh, you guys. A friend of mine who lives in Washington, D.C. and New York. She really lives in New York and has a place in D.C., but she decided to do her watch party in D.C. Bashan Shaw is brand new on The Real Housewives of New York. And when I tell you, she the queen of extra for real. That party was extra. Her personality is extra. She's a loving woman. She gets excited about everything. I mean, the sun comes up, that girl gets excited. The sun goes down, she's excited. So this is going to be so interesting to watch her real personality play out with their real personalities and to be live and watch this. It was awesome to be at that party. People were coming in with all kind of outfits. It was fabulous to see our people like that. It was just fabulous to see our people celebrate that kind of way, in that way. So it was awesome. Thanks for saying that. But it was, well, there's more to come from her. For sure, she's going to be on this show, for sure.
When does that show start, Gloria? Is that the fall, or when does that show start?
Well, I don't know about the season, but her first time was last night. Her first time on the TV was last night. So from what I understand, the series has been out for a very long time, years and years and years. But, they bring new people in all the time. So she met one of the people that are on the show within the last 12 to 18 months, and they became close friends. And next thing you know, now she was on a show with Oprah before, and she was on the Wendy Williams show earlier that day. So she was on the Wendy Williams show earlier that day, but she was on a show that Oprah did when Oprah's network first started out. Very clean show, beautiful, clean, no controversy. Didn't make it. So yeah, exactly. So that was the word on the street when Oprah's network was real clean and real classy. Didn't make it. So now she put a little bit more ratchet in there. And Oprah's,
people love mess. They love the mess. They love the ratchetness.
Love mess.
They do.
Yeah,
That's what sells. That's what sells. So we're just asking our tribe to stay with us. We're not that ratchet. We're not that messy. That's just not who we be. But we know that's what people love. But we're trying to just do us the best we can. Chris, thank you for bringing us this show. I always wonder about people who are adopted, people who give their children away. We all know stories in our lifetime, but to have this show today is going to be very, very informative. So thank you for bringing it to us. Throwing it back to you, Crisette.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Well, you guys, I'm so excited about this show on today. Caterina had a show, I believe last week or a couple of weeks ago, and we were able to meet individuals, and Zay was on there that had adopted children. And we was able to meet a woman who has an adoption agency right here in the city of Detroit. And we heard from them and the importance of adoption. And that was just such a great conversation. And it got me thinking about, looking at the adoption from a different perspective, from the perspective of children that are adopted, how they feel and how they grow up. And what I have come to find out in talking to individuals that I know that are adopted, it doesn't matter that they were adopted into a loving family that just took care of them and did everything that a biological parents would do. When they find out that they're adopted, there's always something in them that wants to find out, where did I come from? Who are my biological parents? We often say, when adopted parents will say sometimes, you're not a parent, the mother, you're not a baby or a child of my womb, but you are a child of my heart. And, it's our hats go off to all of you that adopt children and so into the lives of our children, because that's so important. So on today, I'm excited about our two guests that are here. They are phenomenal women in their own right, and both of them were adopted. And just to give you just a little history, over 135,000 children are adopted each and every year. And so right now, there have been over 1.5 million adopted children in the United States, and that represents about 2.5% of all U.S. children in the United States. And so at this time, I am so excited to bring to We Got Issues, June Purifoy, and I'm excited to bring Ketra Lewis to the stage. Hello, June and Ketra. Welcome, welcome, welcome to We Got Issues. We Got Issues. And so I'm so excited to introduce to you. First up is June Purifoy. She is a people-oriented and enthusiastic woman committed to human services. She retired in 2018 from the Capuchin Soup Kitchen Services Center. She is a ministry within the Providence of St. Joseph of Capuchin Order. She has been blessed to have the opportunity to provide resources and emotional support to others working with nonprofit organizations. June is the author of the book, The Question Inside of Me, An Adoptee's Daughter's Quest for Connection. She is currently in the process of starting her own business as an advocate in search of those biological families of adoptees. So again, welcome June Purifoy to our show.
Hi, thank you.
And now I'm so excited to introduce our another amazing guest, and that is Ketra Lewis. She is a regulatory compliance and risk management professional with over 20 years of experience in bank operations, compliance, and auditing. Ketra has a Bachelor's of Science in Corporate Finance from Wayne State University and an MBA from the University of Phoenix. Ketra is a certified regulatory compliance manager from the American Bankers Association. She currently works as a risk manager with Discover Financial. So welcome to We Got Issues, Miss Ketra Lewis.
Thank you.
We are so, yes. We are so excited to have both of you with us on today. And we are going to dive right into our conversation. We're going to take a break in just a few minutes, but we're going to start with you, June. We'll start with you. Just tell us a little bit of your story from being adopted to where you are right now.
Okay. My adoption came when
June, you have to unmute on the phone.
Okay. Can't hear me?
You must be muted on the phone.
No.
Okay, so while we're getting her volume together, I'm going to go ahead and pass it to Ketra. Ketra, tell us a little bit about your story.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thanks. So my story kind of starts, I was adopted at 6 months. My mother could not have kids, so she elected to adopt. I was a product of a teenage pregnancy. It was a closed adoption, so that means at birth, my name was changed. So I had no, recollections of family members, at all because it was closed. When did I find out? I found out, I think that some kid told me in the neighborhood, like when I was like 6 or 7, you're adopted and your parents are not your real parents. And I didn't know what that meant at the time, but I had this feeling that it was different. And it started to open my eyes up to look around to say, you know what, I am kind of different. I don't know why. And I have this feeling. So I never told my mother, and I always refer to my mother who adopted me as my mother. And I'll refer to my birth parents as my birth parents or biological parents. And so when I was in middle school, she sat me down and had a conversation. And she said, I've got something to tell you. I kind of had a feeling what she was going to say. And then she asked me, did I want to see, find my family at that point or my mother at that point, and my birth mother. And I said, no. I kind of shut down and said, I didn't really want to open up that bag. I wanted to live the life I was living. I didn't want anybody to know. And so I just said, I felt like if she didn't want me, I didn't want to meet her. This is a kid who doesn't understand what it all means. So as I got older, my mother would continue to have those conversations with me about finding her. And I always would shut her down and say, I'm fine. So she stayed in touch with the social worker who handled my case and set up a meeting. Like when I was an adult, the person had retired from the state because you're not supposed to do that. But she would call her just to let her know about my progress and how I was doing. So I met with the social worker and she gave me a name. And the name was very common. Yes.
Ketra, hold your thought. We're going to go to our first break. Okay. Oh my God. This story is so compelling. We want to hear it all. So you guys are tuned into We Got Issues on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation. We're going to take a quick break and we're going to come back and hear the rest of Ketra's story. We'll see you right after the break.
Hello?
Hey, June.
Uh-huh. Can you hear me?
June, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I can't hear you. So make sure that you're unmuted on the phone. You should be, the volume should be down on StreamYard.
What a topic. What a topic. Thank you for joining us today. We are talking about
thumbs up if
we are talking those
I can hear you.
We are talking if you've been adopted.
Make sure you unmuted on the phone.
Your birth mother is.
Okay. What about
Ketra is
that?
telling her story that
I hear you.
when her adopted parent asked her if she wanted to
can't hear you. So
meet her
unmuted on your
birth mother,
you should be okay.
as a young 13-year-old, she said, no,
where you
want me. I don't want to meet her. So we're going to hear the rest of the story. And so,
and I have unmuted on my phone.
Always interesting. And, I just believe that, for one, people who adopt, they are amazing people. I think the adoption system is incredible. Just think how many loving, amazing, incredible people want to bring a life into their home and make it their own. And so we're grateful. We're grateful for all the adoptive parents. We're grateful. My grandparents, they adopted a daughter early on. My grandfather was on the board of an orphanage. Back then they were called orphanages because when children didn't have parents, they would send them into an orphanage. And my grandfather brought my aunt home, and she's always been known as our aunt. And so how would you feel, you guys, if you were adopted? Would you want to meet your birth parent? I have mixed feelings about that because I don't really know what that feels like. I don't know. But of course, there's always that thought that I want to know where I ripped my DNA. I would like to know who that is, what that looks like, how they are. So this is compelling. Stay tuned. We always have issues that we're going to bring to you that are interesting, powerful, compelling, talked about. People are talking about it, so we're going to talk about it. We're going back. Here we go.
All right. We are coming back. We are coming back off of our break, and we are having a wonderful conversation with June Purifoy and Ketra Lewis. Both of these amazing women were adopted. They were adopted at birth. And before the break, Ketra was telling us a little bit of her adoptive story, because again, we talked about how a lot of times children, once they find out they're adopted, they have something on the inside of them that they want to find out a little bit more or find their biological parents. So Ketra, go ahead and continue telling us your story.
So yes, so when she connected me with a social worker, I probably had graduated from high school, she gave me a name, and she sort of kind of gave me some information about kind of what happened. Of course, what I said, my birth mother was a teenage mother, and she really couldn't care for me. And the social worker said, they wanted basically a better life for me. This is sort of, a recollection so many years later. So I'll fast forward. I thought about it. I would do some research. They had like support groups. So I ended up making an appointment with the agency that handled my adoption. And because Michigan my adoption was closed 19 something. They only had none of the identifying information. So what they had was like a profile of my birth mother, sort of what high school she went to, what her interests were, kind of what she looked like, brown hair, brown skin, brown eyes, just really high level information. One of the things that we had in common, we both were interested in performing arts. When I was in high school, I was interested in that. So that sort of said, oh, wow, I know where I get that from. Because all my life, I always thought I was just a little different. My interests with other family members or just things that I like to do. So I'll fast forward to just 2019. My husband bought me the 23andMe kit because I always said, oh, I should take that DNA test, because I wouldn't mind maybe to see if I have some family out there. I did not know that it would be matches almost immediately. First, I matched with my biological mother, and she did not want to connect. So I ended up matching with my first biological brother. We share the same mother, and we connected instantly, and we are best buds now. I mean, our relationship is really great.
So Ketra, what I'm hearing you saying is you took the 23andMe genetic test and found a biological brother on there.
Yes.
Wow. Now, you know what? That's just another whole level. That's a conversation that we have not had at all. Okay, so Ketra, we're going to find out more about that. We want to see if we have June. June, let's see if we can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, June, we still can't hear you. So what I'm going to have you do is hang up, June, and call back into the station because we absolutely want to hear your story. So hang up and then call back in the station, okay?
Okay.
Technology, gotta love it. But we absolutely going to get June back because we definitely want to hear her share her story. So, Ketra, so you went on 23andMe, you took the test, and you found a biological brother. So tell us what happened once you connected with him.
So this is the first sibling that I found. And we, you can do messaging. It's an app. And so he messaged me and said, I think you're my sister. And so he gave me his phone number, and I called him right away, and we compared notes, kind of some of the notes that I had over the years that kind of matched up to like where I was born and sort of her age and things of that nature. And so because the 23andMe is like a paternity test, so it's pretty accurate as far as relationships. I don't know about genealogy, but as far as parent or siblings, it's pretty accurate because everything sort of worked out. His story, just briefly until June comes on, God is so good. He was somewhere and on vacation, and somebody was talking about 23andMe, and he had heard my grandmother had told him about me 6 years previously, had shown him a picture. Wow. He never knew I existed. And so he had a quest to find, who I was. So he was going to hire a private investigator, but he decided to do the 23andMe. And he's very private, so I won't mention his name or anything. But he did the 23andMe because he's not really a social media person at all. And he did that, and then we connected. So anyway, the fast forward, that's going really well. I think it's been almost 3 years. We visit each other, we talk all the time, and we're very close. And so I connected with him. And I also last year connected on my father's side. I connected with my birth father, and I have, sometimes I lose count. I have 5 other siblings, 3 sisters, and 2 more brothers. So I went from being raised as an only child to having 6 siblings. And so I'm excited. Yeah, that's going very well. My relationship with my siblings are great. I think some of them might call in, or they're at least listening because they did text me. I don't know if they'll comment. But yeah, I met up with my two sisters that live out of Oklahoma. We met up in Texas, and I'm going to see a brother and a sister that lives in Cincinnati near. And then I have a brother that stays here. And the interesting thing is that, you know, I know some people, I just see comments that people don't want to find, but one thing I always worried about is dating your family. And so I found out that on my father's side, he's one of 15, and our grandfather is one of 15 or 14, and it's a huge family name. And so I didn't have any of that growing up. I just found out in the last couple of years. So, and then also on the mother's side. So my mother was always, I think she told me at a young age, so that, oh, there's Kelly. She said hi.
Hey, Kelly, you're here. Hi, Kelly. So Ketra, oh my gosh, you have just, I mean, literally, you have unpacked so much here. I mean, it's like my mouth went open. I knew a little bit of your story, but the more you tell it, it's more and more and more. I mean, from the 23andMe to you were a single child. Now you have a slew of brothers and sisters and cousins and relatives and all of this. So I'm going to just open up. I have a ton of questions that I can ask you, but I'm going to throw it over to the girlfriends. Anyone wants to ask Ketra something as we're waiting for June to join us?
Chris, I do. No. I don't know if I missed it in the story. Ketra, were your other siblings adopted also, or
no?
I didn't hear that part.
No.
Wow.
No, my brother, who we share the same mom, no, he was still in the family, and then my siblings on my dad's side were raised by their parents. Yeah, by their parents. So no, I was the only one.
Can you just talk a little bit about emotionally how you have walked through that, the emotional roller coaster that must come along with that?
You live you feel like an imposter. Sometimes you wonder, you know, as I was growing up, you wonder who you are, who you look like. You know, finally, I found out who I look like, because I really look like, according to my siblings, I'm a girl version of our father. So, wow. And then hanging around my siblings, we have some commonalities and personality traits and things like that. So you kind of, you know, you look around and you wonder, like, everybody has their real, or, you know, blood, even if the family's dysfunctional or they're not around or your father's not there, you still know your blood. You still know your family, who you are, where you come from. And some people don't seem to understand that. And when you're adopted, it's something that is always in the back of your mind. So for me, emotionally, my mom was so supportive and always an advocate for me and wanted me to find my family. But I was just pushed back because I didn't want to hurt her, because she had done so much for me. She had made so many sacrifices. But I had like a great childhood. You know, she had me in the church. She made sure I had education. She always was like my cheerleader. She passed away in 2018, and I do deserve her. She was a great woman, and she one of the best, and she was the best advocate for, you know, and for adoption, you know. And I'm a story that it definitely can be successful. It's not easy emotionally. It is trying, but you know, what you sow into a child's life is a lifetime.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing. Your story is beautiful, and it's inspiring for those I know that are wanting and desiring to connect with their family, with their biological family.
Yeah.
Right.
That's so awesome.
I would love to,
Gloria.
Go ahead. I would just love to hear. Okay. I would just love to hear about, you know, when your mother sat you down and you were in middle school and she told you what, you know, you have your feelings then and then you have your feelings later. How did you feel towards her, just in the realm of she decided to tell you? Because I believe that there's some parents that don't feel strong enough, courageous enough, or they don't feel kind enough. I mean, if you're sitting there and you're a parent who might have to make the decision to tell their child they're adopted, how does an adopted child receive that information in your eyes?
Someone asked me that recently, and it's never a good time because it's still, it's hard to deal with. But I think the younger, is probably the better. So you could sort of figure out kind of like, I know why I'm different. I know why I have these interests. And, I'm glad that there's open adoptions now where you can meet your parents. It's not like they'll take care of you, but you can at least find out, genetically who you are, who you look like, and maybe, interact with your family. But for me, I found out, and then I shut it down because I wanted to be normal. I wanted to fit in. It wasn't talked about around the community being adopted.
Right.
I knew nobody else. So it was sort of like a blemish, in the community. So I didn't want anybody to know. It's funny. I was talking to one of my classmates who we went to high school together. We had a talk, and she's like, I never knew you were adopted. Like, I've known you for 30 years.
Right.
And I'm like, right. So I'm glad that I'm able to be transparent in my life and not have to. It's not like Crisette, Lady Crisette said, as far as the 1.5 million, I didn't know it was that many people that were adopted. So that's definitely, that's a lot of people out there like myself and like others.
And you know what? We have two callers, so we're going to go to the phone lines. I just recently learned, and Ketra is a member of my church, and I just recently learned that she was adopted. I think we talked about it. Was it last year that you told me? Yeah, last year. So, I was like, really? I never knew. We have two callers. I think we have Tony. Tony, are you still there?
With Toy. That's Toy on the.
Okay, Toy. I'm sorry. Hey, Toy. How are you? Welcome to We Got Issues. Hi. Thanks for taking my call. Yes, I'm adopted, and I found out just because I was sitting on the floor. This is the quick watching TV, and something else rang a bell. I was about maybe 5, and I turned around and I asked my parents, Mommy, am I adopted? And she looked at my dad before she answered me, and that pretty much told me what I needed to know. But she said, yes, you're adopted. And, I personally think that I agree that you should tell them as young as you're capable. But my mother was never comfortable with that conversation. And I have asked 3 times over the years, can you tell me anything about myself? I even went to the point of, I think when I was 7, I was snooping in her dresser. So I found out what my birth name was. And I tried to get her to elaborate on all that, and she didn't. She just didn't. She got always just very, very upset. When I asked my dad, he would just fall back to her. So since when I started to have kids, you just learn not to bring it up. And when I had kids, of course, the first thing the doctor asks you is, what is your history? And it always disturbed me that I was unable to provide that information. And, I could only give my immunization as what my information was. And that wasn't sufficient. So I made a point that when I wrote to the state of Michigan, and I asked the state of Michigan to send me the forms. This was before everybody had computers. And they sent me the forms. And at the top of the form, the state of Michigan says, are you adopted? And I checked the box because I'm adopted. Well, I had no idea I was flagging my file closed. So they didn't give me anything because I was born at a time, I was born in 58, and they promised those women that had babies and put them up, they promised anonymity. So, they weren't saying, and they were honoring that agreement. So fast forward, when my kids got to middle school, I decided to purchase a computer. And I justified that purchase by saying I could start my own search for my birth family. And that's what I did. I found, I called and found out that I had that I was adopted at the Children's Aid Society, which is the same place they used for my younger sister, who was also adopted. And I called them. I spoke to a very lovely lady who was a social worker about to retire. And, you know, they can basically only give you non-identifying information if you're born in that closed record system. So they were able to give me, I was able to provide the information that I was looking for. I was really detailed. I wanted to know everything. She wrote down all my questions and she said, yes, I have your records and I will mail you the answers to what you want to know. And right before my birthday, let's see, since 20 years now,
Nice.
I got that information, and I thought I could actually, based on the information provided about my grandparents, I just thought I could just search and find them on my own. Well, I couldn't. I knew my last name, but, you know, what I was coming up against was the fact that my mother had married. So her maiden name was no longer her name. So I went back to social worker. She said, hey, I know a person who helps, he's a search angel who can help you. And I contacted him and he provided me, don't be shocked, but he provided me actually her credit report.
Wow.
And yeah, I called every name on that credit report that was associated with her. This all fell into 9/11, so I worked for the airline and I was off. I had the time to do it. And I finally I was frustrated, got to the bottom of the list. I called the last name on the list and I asked for the young lady. Her name was Terry Moore. I said, hey, Terry, I know you don't know me. I'm from Detroit. My name is blah, blah, blah. And, you know, you have to come up with a story. You just can't go busting in there. So I came up with a story. And I said, because I already knew the information based on the non-identifying information about my grandparents. Right. So I knew my grandmother was deceased. But my story that I made up was, I said, hi, Terry, you don't know me. But my name is, you know, Toy Washington. And I always promised my grandmother, who was from Grand Rapids, if I would get in touch with a Mr. John Spinks. And she said, oh, yeah, that's Granddad. And yeah, and I said,
and they made the connection.
Yeah.
Wow, Toy. I mean, this is such a compelling story. I mean, these stories of how adoptive children, you know, just that yearning on the inside to find out, you know, more about them. I did some research and it said, you know, the top 3 questions that children who have been adopted want to know. The first one they said is, you know, what were the circumstances surrounding my adoption? They want to know that. You know, where did my name come from? What happened to my birth mother and father? It's just questions and on top of questions. And I don't know if, you know, when you get the answers to those questions, if you feel a little bit more connected, if you feel like now your life, you know, the pieces of the puzzle are coming together, right? And so
it came together, but then it fell apart. The woman, go ahead, Tori. I'm sorry. The woman said on the other end of the phone, I said, well, does your grandfather have a daughter named Ann Spinks? And she said, oh, that's my stepmother, but yeah, Ann Spinks is John Spinks' daughter. She said, but you know, we just buried her.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
The story. I know that they have some other callers
this
on.
This is my childhood best friend, Toy. And we grew up together. Like, we know each other since birth.
Her mother and my mother were best friends. We're best friends, but she found her mom after her mom passed. So I know that they have another caller to it. But please stay on, because I know they have another caller and a person. But I just thank you so much for calling in, because I wrote that journey with her.
Yes.
With her when she found out. It was amazing.
It's a journey, definitely.
I was there for 2 weeks, 3 weeks when I found out. Yep. Okay.
Toy, we absolutely appreciate you coming and sharing a little bit of your story. And again, we absolutely could have several of these topics and people coming on talking about their stories. So thank you so much for sharing on We Got Issues. Okay, so we have June. Before we go to our next caller, I want to see June. Can we hear you?
Let's give her a big round of applause. Absolutely, absolutely.
I don't know
June,
what was going wrong. Yes.
But that's okay. We're so glad that we got you now. So June, please really quickly, if you can, I mean, your story is just so phenomenal. Can you just give us like the highlights of, you finding out you were adopted to finding how you met your brother? Just really quickly give us that story because it's so compelling.
Yeah, well, right quick. I was adopted when I was 10 days old. I was only in foster care 10 days, so I always say thank you, Lord. But after that, I had wonderful, wonderful adopted parents. And when I was around 3 or 4, my adopted mother, would use the illustration of the teddy bears, and she would always tell me how I was adopted. And periodically through me growing up, she would, bring out the teddy bears again and tell me how I was adopted. And when I got in my early adolescent years, that's when I started having all these questions, that would rise up in me. And I said, I started looking at families and seeing how, there was a mother and a father, there were many children, and why am I the only child? So many questions started coming up. But I had asked my adopted mother if I could go to Children Aid Society. I heard the young lady just said that's where she was adopted from. And I went to Children Aid Society when I was about 13 or 14. And I wanted to ask some questions. And I did. And my adopted parents, they took me and I asked these questions, and they would only give you so much information, So what information they gave me, I always kept it. And periodically, like I said, I would always wonder. And so when I got about 14 or 15, I just started praying every night. Lord, help me to find my biological family. Help me to find my biological family. I said, if I don't get to know them, I said, if they're passing, or if I just see them on the street, if somebody would just let me know, that's your mother, that's your father. But anyway, so that never did happen. But after I got married and had my children, then it really, I really got inquisitive then, because I said, how can a woman carry a child for 9 months and go through all that and then give it up? That's one of the main things too. I know adoptees have many questions, but one of the main questions is, why did they give me up? So, but anyway, after I got married and stuff, I went back to the Children Aid Society again myself, and I got some more information. So to make a long story short, I gathered all the information I had, and a young lady that church I was going to at the time came up to me and she said, June, I heard you're looking for your biological family. And I said, yes. She said, well, I work at this high school, and I heard that that's where you think your biological parents went. I said, okay. I said, well, let me give you the information I have. So I did. And about 2 or 3 weeks later, she called me. She said, I think I got the information you needed. So I said, okay, good. So I said, at that time, everything, like I said, was a closed adoption. So you had, and then we didn't have Ancestry, .com or I was on my own searching, So after I did that search, and I ended up finding them, and I found both my biological mother and father in 1988. But things didn't go just like I thought they would be. Or, we didn't develop no friendship or, no relationship or anything. I just got a chance to find them. But I did know my biological father's name. I got a chance to meet him the one time. And then so happened 24 years later, I'm working in this place, and this young man comes in this place. Never seen him a day in my life, didn't know who he was and nothing. But he came in, and when he walked in, and his walk even looked like my son's walk, and he looked like my son. And I said, oh man, I said, I don't know this young man. Who is this? But anyway, he gave his name, and I knew my father's last name. So he gave his name and everything. And so when he came in, I was to service him that day. And I said, your last name is such and such. He said, yes, it is. And I said, oh, okay. I said, would you happen to have a father by the name of such and such? He said, yeah, I do. And I said, okay, well, I don't want to ask you too many questions, And I said, you might think I'm trying to get all in your business, And I said, so I'll leave you alone. So he came back another time. And I told the girl at the reception desk, I said, please, whenever he comes back, to please put him on my schedule so I can service him. So she did. And when he came back, that's when I had a list of questions I said that I was going to start asking him, but I didn't, and we talked for a minute. I asked him a few more though questions, and he said, you're my sister, aren't you? And I said, I think, yeah, that you're my brother. And that's when we reconnected with one another, and I reconnected with my father and his family, and we're still in a good relationship now. But with my mother, it's still, not too good.
Right.
At least I know who she is. Yes. I know where she is, and I know if I want to call her or ever need to call her, I believe I can do that. And the same here, for me. Hopefully she'll call me if she ever wants to talk.
June, oh, girlfriend. I mean, that story right there. I mean, when I tell you I got chills when you shared that story with me. I mean, a prayer as a child, 13, 14, God, I want to know, my biological parents. I want to know if I have brothers and sisters. And I mean, the fact that your brother walks into a place that you working at, and you look at the way he's walking and you say, wow, he walks like my son. And then to find out that come on, God was all up in that. Okay. I just don't believe in coincidences like that. Real quickly, you guys, I know our time is going by really, really quickly. June has written a book. So June, real quickly, tell us about the book that you have written.
Okay, it's just my story of how I was adopted, the things I went through, and how I found my biological family. Okay, thank you, Ketra. And the different, reactions and feelings and thoughts that were in me, and like I said, the questions, and we wrestle with, I didn't not really wrestle, but the things they plague you, there's different things, where did I really come from? And especially when Rick Warren came out with the Purpose Driven Life, book, and I said, well, what is my purpose here? But anyway, get the book. It's the question inside of me, Adopted Daughter's Quest for Connection, and it'll give you all the answers and the things that I went through and how God has blessed me. And I have to say, and I give kudos and everything to the First Lady, because she was the one that inspired me to write it. If it had not been for her, she said, you got to write your book. Wow. You got to write your story.
And I'm so glad that you did, because your story is going to be such a blessing to so many children who have been adopted. And as you said, I love the title of your book, The Questions Inside of Me. And I mean, every person wants to have their questions answered. And so that is just so powerful. And I think, Ketra, you have the book, right? And I don't know if you read June's book before you started your own journey, right? To
well, I got her book like right after I connected with my birth mother because I was having some challenges with her. So God is so good. Someone told me to go. Do you know June? We go to the same church, but church is so big, you don't know, So I go and I get the book. I'm reading. I get the book. I have it in my bag. One Sunday, I didn't sit in my normal seat, and I sat right next to June. Right, June? And I said, I was looking for you, and she autographed it, and we talked briefly, and she shared right here. So. Yep, she autographed it and she signed it. It was 4/7/19. So she shared with me some of her story, about the challenges of meeting them. So I was sort of prepared from her book, kind of helped me, guide me through some of the things that I would go through, some disappointments, with the parent side so much. But other than that, like June says, at least I know who they are. I know where they are, and I can, take it from there. I never thought in 50 years of my life, because I'm 51, that I would find my family, because it was impossible the way that the system was set up. And if it wasn't for God and 23andMe, I would have never found anybody. So I thank God for that.
That is so powerful. You guys, I know we're about to wrap up. We have one more call. I'm going to try to get her in really, really quickly. Deidre, are you there?
Deidre.
Hi.
Hi, Deidre.
Hi, Deidre.
Hey. Hi, Ketra. Hey, I am speaking on the adoptive parent perspective. I got my daughter when she was 3 months old. I can't have children. I became a foster mother. My daughter was my first placement. I got her when she was 3 months old. She was brought to the church. I have been open with her about everything. So she's been knowing about adoption since she was 3. So as she gets older, she asks questions and things. But when she was 7, she asked to meet her biological mother. So I set that up. They met. She said she was fine. She hasn't talked about it since. But now I'm going, because she's 12 now, and now I'm dealing with the abandonment issue. Which, I understand all foster kids, all adoptive kids want to, know their parents' abandonment issues. But she's so withdrawn, she won't talk about it. Last year, at 11 years old, she tried to take her life. Oh, wow. I give this young lady everything, all the happiness. I do everything. She done been on the cruise, everything. She's number 8 of 9. They all have the same mother. I talked her with her about. Yes, Ketra. You know what? I'm so sorry. We were coming up against the end of the program. We definitely want to have you back to share the rest of your story, which I know is going to be so instrumental in helping other parents who may be going through the same thing. But thank you so much for calling.
Thank you, June. Thank you, Ketra, for sharing your story of your journey to finding your biological parents. We thank you for sharing it here.
Thank you for having us.
You have been listening to 9:10 a.m. the Superstation, WFDF Radio. We look forward to seeing you on tomorrow. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Excellent show. Oh my gosh, we ran out of time for real. That was awesome. Very, very good.
Wow. I mean, you guys, Ketra, June, thank you so much for joining us on today. I mean, isn't enough time to delve into all of the different nuances of being a person that was adopted. And so we appreciate you sharing your story with us on today.
Thank you for the opportunity.
You are so welcome.
We're all muted. We loved it.
Right. Okay. Thank you.